Don is President and Chief Investment Officer of Yacktman Asset Management. He owns more than 2 million shares of eBay. Let me ask, first of all, your impressions of this company's earnings here, Don, and then we can get into why you like the company and how you may be moving your holdings.
Well, we don't really spend a lot of time on quarter-to-quarter things. As was pointed out, they slightly exceeded expectations both in revenue and earnings, though.
This is why I wanted to move on to that other stuff. You know, what do you think about eBay? You talk about, for example, Coke a lot, and you like the fact that they generate a lot of cash. It's predictable, and you trust their managers, I guess, to do the smart thing with that. What do you think about eBay as an investment in the sense that you look at companies?
Well, maybe the best way to look at it for viewers would be to look at our holdings. We haven't added any eBay in the last quarter, and yet our assets have grown substantially, and as well as we've had market appreciation. So our position in eBay is now down to about 2%, just because of those other factors. They have a good business, but the management, I don't think would get very high marks for their acquisition acumen, and so you know, it's an okay situation, but not great at this point.
Don, you don't sound like you're in love with it. So, I mean, why do you guys continue to own it?
Well, it's not a matter of hating it. I mean, the basic business is still a pretty good business, but it's just when you look at it from a valuation and from a business standpoint, we try to look at risk-adjusted forward rates of return, and those are not as competitive as they were when the stock was much lower.
Exactly. You know, you pointed out on Tom Keane's surveillance show the other day that you're not a fan of buy and hold because obviously if an asset appreciates to a price that you think is acceptable, you want to sell it and reallocate into other investments. Is that the case now for eBay? I mean, has it reached that point?
Well, we haven't had to do any selling because, again, we've had all these assets. So the selling has been more subtle in the fact that it just declined as a percentage of the portfolio. So in a back doorway, I guess you could say, we've reduced our holding.
Is there anything, you know, you talked about management and some of maybe the missteps that they've taken, the eBay management. Don, is there something that you'd like to see management doing at this point that they're not?
Well, I think in any business, you like managements to slim the business down to its most profitable core and grow the core and not diversify. If they're going to make acquisitions, they ought to be synergistic and they ought to not overpay. And I think on both counts, there's been some questionable decisions on the part of eBay.
I'm guessing Skype falls into that, or am I reading too much into this?
No. I mean, you're not reading too much into it. I think, yeah, you've hit on one of the cylinders.
Well, you know, eBay says it sees the Skype deal closing in fourth quarter. So I'm assuming you're saying that's a good thing. We're out of this one soon.
I think it would be a positive move.